Hey, ass butt.
Lucy, I'm home.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. Guys, I've been keeping a deep, dark secret from you. Something that I've been trying to hide for years. But I love Supernatural. I rewatched it recently, and I'm telling you, Supernatural holds up so much better than you'd ever think for just a CW show. It's so good. The beginning seasons where it's the monster of the week, or the later seasons where there's like a linear storyline, it all holds up so well, and it's very good. And today I wanted to rank just 30 of them, but the side characters in Supernatural. Not everyone made the list because some people just aren't as memorable, but this is essentially everyone that isn't Sam or Dean. So that's what I'll be doing today, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started.
There's whale poo, and then there's you.
I didn't mention this, but I'll also be tier listing. And starting out in F tier, I have Samuel Campbell. I liked him in the first episode we saw him in. I thought he was good. I thought it was cool when when Dean went back in time, he got to meet Mary, got to meet their father young, which was cool. But something about Samuel Campbell, especially later when he came back, I don't remember if he came back without a soul or not, but it seemed like it. He was so cruel and such a tool and just wasn't likable at all during the show. Just genuinely, he was just there pissing people off. And I don't remember how he ended up, but I hope they got him. I hope they took care of him. He was their grandpa, but he still was just a genuinely bad person. When John Winchester and Mary Winchester and all these other characters do all these crazy things, but they aren't quite bad people, Samuel felt like he was a bad person. And that alone wouldn't make him this low on the list, but he also just unlikable. I thought he was such a douche, and I don't know. So he lands at the bottom of F tier at 30th place. All right, one little bit above him in 29th is Arthur Ketch. I thought them just coming in, the British men of letters coming in, was just so bad. I thought that was one of the biggest missteps in all of Supernatural, and Arthur Ketch was part of that. He was supposed to be this kind of James Bond suave character, and it just didn't fit with the rest of the show. Him and Mary were a thing at one point, and I don't know, Mary sucks too, but we'll get to Mary. But no, Arthur Ketch was just kind of there. It was really weird. They'd have him show up every once in a while with a rocket launcher and all these other things, and I don't know. I didn't trust him at any point. Near the very end of the show, he was okay, and then he just kind of disappeared. They killed him off really quickly. He was okay, though. He really, really sucked when he worked for the British government, men of letters, all that stuff. He really, really sucked then. But he got a little slightly better throughout the series, just a little bit. And he was okay by the end of it. But for 95% of it, he was just the worst. Then still in F tier, but just a little higher at 28th place, I have Benny. We don't know a ton about Benny. His episodes kind of felt like filler, which is a big reason why he's down this low. But he was Dean's buddy when Dean went to purgatory. He was a vampire, I think. I think he was like a pureblood vampire, if I remember correctly. But he helped Dean survive, and he eventually got broken out of purgatory by Dean, which was really cool. But I don't know. They just had Benny have these random storylines and plot lines where he fell in love with this girl, but they can't be together, all this other stuff, and it just didn't matter for the show. It felt similar to the Men of Letters stuff, especially the British Men of Letters, just didn't really matter. It was cool to see Dean have a friend that wasn't Sam, pretty much, because Dean's pretty standoffish. But I don't know, he wasn't around a ton, and he didn't impact the story very much. He was a good fighter, and I don't know, that's about it for him. And in 27th, I have Metatron. Metatron, I really like his actor. I can't remember his name quite right now, but he's really good at being a little Weasley annoying guy, which is really good for Metatron's character, the Scribe of God. He eventually got better, for sure. But at the beginning, when he was messing with Cass and then ruling heaven and doing all these sketchy things. He sucked. He was so like, every time he was around, it was like nails on a chalkboard. He was just there being a jerk, and that's fine sometimes. That's fine if you're a cool character, but he was also just such a little weasel. He was so unlikable, and I loved it. But by the end of his run before he died, he did sacrifice himself. He did some cool stuff. He did try to get God to like step up a little bit. If I remember, like he was just trying to help, trying to get God to like write something real, like not just erase everything, not just do anything silly like that. But no, I thought he definitely got better as the show went on, but his worst was pretty darn bad. At 26, I have Donatello. It's not so much because I disliked his character very much. He just wasn't around a ton. I thought he was pretty funny, actually. I thought he was a funny character. I thought he was a good, like, what was he? Oh, he could, like, I forgot his job. Whatever. He knew what the angels were saying. He was, I don't know if he was the Scribo God. I know that was Metatron, but it doesn't matter. He was an okay character. He just wasn't around a ton. He didn't affect a lot. They just needed another person after Kevin who can read the tablets and do all this stuff. So when he was around, he was kind of silly. He was fun, but he just didn't do anything. He didn't fight. All he did was just read and eat. He ate a lot of fried chicken. That was just his thing. And he eventually, like, his soul got messed up, and I hope people know there's spoilers in this, whatever. But no, he eventually, did he shoot Sam or Dean? He did some sketchy stuff as well, but he just wasn't around enough to make an impact on me personally. All right. And at the top of F tier at number 25, let's all say it. Boo, you stink, because it's Chuck. Chuck sucks. Chuck was really fun when he was just this kind of schlubby guy, the guy who's writing Supernatural, the guy who kind of reminded me of Nick Miller a little bit. I don't know if it's just because they're both writers or what, but he was just like kind of a loser, honestly, who happened to be writing really important stuff for the universe. But when he was God, the actor did a great job of playing such a slimy, just another weasel. I don't know who I call the weasel. It might have been Metatron. He is the king weasel. He is just causing problems and not helping, and then causing more problems. And I can't believe Supernatural ended up making God as the main antagonist. That is like the craziest, funniest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm sure that pissed a lot of people off, but it was honestly really good. But Chuck was such a jerk. He was such a weasel. I hated it every time he was on screen because he was always just scheming and he just wanted to watch a story. He wanted a movie essentially from the Winchesters, but I don't know. He was so sketchy and he was so silly. He did a good job portraying him, but I hated every single time he was on the screen. He was, I don't know. He was something. I don't know what he was, but he was something. All right, starting off C tier at number 24, I have Billy. Billy was one of the last deaths, like the main one that wasn't the real death we know about. And Billy was okay. Billy just wasn't around a ton, and at one point they just made her kind of an antagonist. But other than that, I thought Billy did a good job. There was big shoes to fill, honestly, because the guy who originally played Death, who I'll talk about later on, was so good. His entrance was phenomenal. I'll talk about it later. Sorry. But no, I think Billy did an okay job. It was cool seeing her in like her Death getup, like her in like a leather jacket. Also, fun fact, if you watch like the last season or some of the last few episodes that she's in where they're fighting her and stuff, I think she's pregnant. I think she's like heavily pregnant, and they kept trying to hide it. But if you watch it and you pay attention, you can tell, and it's kind of a little fun fact. But no, Billy was okay. Just Billy wasn't around enough, and Billy didn't really do enough episode to episode for me to care about her. But she was fine. At number 23, I have Claire Novak. Claire Novak is the human daughter of, I don't remember his name, but whoever Cass's like taking over right now. And she was okay. I thought she annoyed me a little bit throughout the series because she was just so angsty, and I get it. You know what? If my dad just left and became an angel all of a sudden, I'd be pretty pissed too. But you gotta let it go at some point, and she really didn't. So I don't know how I could possibly put her above C tier. She was okay when she got in her little girl gang with Jody and them, but I don't know. She was just so angsty, and it was so hard to deal with and like listen to a lot of the time. She was just so much a teenager, I guess I should put. She was just so pissed about everything, and I get it. Your dad's an angel now, but come on, it'll be okay. Other than that, she was fine. At number 22, I have a character that I thought was very memorable, but looking back, she wasn't around a ton. This is Bella from the early seasons. She was played by the girl from Lauren Cohen, I think is her name, but she was in Walking Dead. She was Glenn's wife in Walking Dead, all that stuff. But I thought she was a fun character. I thought she was really fun. She was the one with the rabbit foot and stole their luck and all this different stuff. And a demon was after her, all that, the usual stuff. But I don't know if she was past like season 2. She was such an early character, and that was about it. I wish she would have stayed around more. She's probably too famous, maybe. She had other stuff going on. But I thought she was a good character while she was there. But because she wasn't there super long, I can't really put her too much higher. I can't put her above C tier. She was fine. She was fun, but she just wasn't around a lot. And now for like the opposite, Mary Winchester at 21. Mary was around a lot, but Mary sucked. Mary's lucky I put her in C tier at the very least. Mary, a lot of the time, just sucked. She, got saved by the boys, and the first thing she does, she's like, oh, I've been out of your life for 20 years. I'm gonna go find myself. I'm like, I get it. I get why you want to do that, but it's so selfish, and she just sucks so much. She got literally and figuratively in bed with the British men of letters and caused a lot of issues. Mary just... John wasn't a good dad either. He wasn't a good parent either. Something about Mary, just the first thing she does when she shows up after 20 or so years is just pieces out, is crazy to me. She didn't want to spend any time with her kids, and I thought that sucks so much. I get that could happen in real life, probably does all the time, unfortunately, but it just rubbed me the wrong way the entire time she was there. Then at number 20, I have Ruby. Ruby showed up randomly. I think it was season 5 when she was around a lot, but has shown up as different actresses before, just being the demon that kind of tricked Sam, essentially, and dated Sam, kind of, and married Sam in real life. I don't know. There was a lot there. But Ruby was fine. Ruby was just scheming most of the time. I thought it was a good reveal that, after all of the stuff she'd done and helped the Winchesters, she was actually working to break out the devil. That's crazy. That's so cool how she tricked Sam to do that. She tricked Sam into breaking the final seal, killing Lilith. I get spoiler stuff. But just, that was such a good reveal that she was actually the one causing all of it. She was the mind behind it all. I like that she was around a lot. I like the actresses that they had portray her. I thought she did a good job. She was fun around the Winchesters. At number 19, I have Rufus. I thought Rufus was so fun and so silly and so funny. I really wish we could have had some more episodes just watching Bobby and Rufus go fight monsters and go fight demons and stuff, because their antics would be so good. Their chemistry together is really, really good. But Rufus himself is just so funny. Rufus, will have such a random thing going on, and he's so knowledgeable, but he's not really a part of the main cast a lot of the time. So he's off killing vampires and Rougarous, but I don't know. It feels so funny when you hear about what he does, and it's mostly him where you hear it like this, and he's not the main character. It's oh, that didn't matter. That was not an episode, so I don't care if he killed 30 Wendigos in Utah, I found Rufus to be such an enjoyable part of the show. I always really liked him. I couldn't put him too much higher because he wasn't around a ton, but for what he was here for, I thought he was really good and definitely deserves to be at the top of C tier.
I mean, it's alright, like...
Starting off B tier, I have Adam/Michael. He is an interesting character to rank because he's been very, very different at different times. My favorite iteration of him was near the end of the show when... I think it was right when they got out of the pit and they had just reconciled. Like, Michael and Adam were just really cool. They were cool together. They were just living. They were just living their life, and they would just have conversations at the diner just together. They had really merged, which you don't see very often with any of the other characters, especially angels or archangels taking over. They don't usually coexist. They kind of just take over. But I thought it was really cool that Adam was one with him, and I thought he was cool. Like, I thought by the end of it, I thought he was really cool. I really like his relationship with the Winchesters. It's like very straight because they left him in the pit. He should be mad. He should have gone after them, but he'd like made peace with it, which was cool. I really like the pair of them together. At number 17, I have Kevin. Kevin was a cool character. Kevin was, they just needed another person who can read the tablets and all that stuff. But Kevin brought a little bit of a chaos to it. I guess Donatello did too. But Kevin brought a more important to the show chaos because he was, I don't know, he's going crazy, living by himself, just translating the tablet. His mom died, which sucks. He just had a lot of stuff going on. He had, like, before he was chosen, he had a lot of good stuff going on. He was, like, going to college. He was doing really well, all this stuff. But then his life just gets uprooted, which sucks. But I don't know, he was interesting. He was fun. I thought he was funny at a lot of the times. I thought the actor was really good. I really liked his relationship with his mom and how close they were. But no, Kevin was a good character, just middle of the line character. At number 16, I have Amara, the other half of the good and the bad with Chuck. I thought Amara was a really interesting and a really fun character because when we first meet her, she is the darkness, she is the evil. She was the opposite of God. She is destruction if he is creation. So we expect her to be this evil person, but she was just kind of bored a lot of the time. She did pose such a real threat, but especially after the initial fight when she finally talks to Chuck, they're cool. She's very chill. She just does Pilates and lives in Vegas. Rad. Good for her. But when she was kind of evil, I don't know, I liked her relationship with Dean. I thought that was fun. But no, I thought the actress did a really good job. I don't know, I really like the darkness. I like that the darkness didn't end up being completely evil. The darkness was just something different, like a different kind of creator in a way, and I'm glad that she was able to just coexist. I hate that she got tricked by Chuck at the end, but I thought she was good. At number 15, I have John Winchester. If I would have made this list 10 or so years ago, he probably would have been in my top 5, but rewatching it, he's not that great. I really like his actor. Can't remember his name at the time, this time, but he was an okay character. He wasn't around a ton when he was just talking about how good he was at doing stuff, and he had trouble killing demons. Sam and Dean surpassed him in every single way by season 3. So they got so much better. They got so much better just fighting and killing demons and other characters. John was this guy of legend, and he was just struggling against demons, which is so funny to look back at. He was just okay. He was a bad dad. They had parents that were not good parents. To be fair, it was partially trauma of just Mary dying and him trying to save Sam, all this other stuff. But he wasn't a very good dad, and that's okay. I do like him so much more than Mary, but like I said, he is not a good dad. I think he was a very fun character. I think he was very well acted, but in general, the character was he was kind of a bum. At number 14, I have Azazel or Yellow Eyes. I thought he was such a good villain. I don't know what it was about them deciding on yellow eyes rather than white or all this other stuff that we'll see otherwise. It was really good. I thought he was very intimidating. He was very scary. Not the most intimidating villain, But early on, especially, I thought he was great. I thought he was such a good villain and good foil for the Winchesters, and like their history with him and how he killed Mary and all this other stuff. But he was a good character. He was very well thought out, especially for the early seasons. Now there was more nuance later on, but at the very beginning, he was just the big bad demon, the like king of hell, and that's it. That's all it was. But he was very intimidating. He was very fun, and I really enjoyed when he was on screen. And at the top of B tier, I have another villain at number 13, Lilith. I thought Lilith, especially when she was like in her little girl form, was one of the scariest villains that Supernatural's ever had. I thought it was so good. I thought the little girl did such a good job acting. I thought Lilith was such a good villain because, like, just think about the prison episode where they're stuck, well, not prison, jail, where Sam and Dean are like stuck in jail. There's the FBI agent, all this stuff. They're looking for him, and they think they saved the day, and she just shows up and just essentially drops a nuke on him. Like, she just kills everyone there. And at that point, you see that and like, how are Sam and Dean ever going to beat her? I thought she was so good. I thought she was so fun and like scary. I liked her last version that I remember, the blonde, when Sam ended up killing her. I thought she was good too. Just something about the intimidation of the little girl and like her fake family and all this stuff was just so good. Lilith was great at number 13.
That was legitness. Yeah, it was.
Starting off A tier, I have Death at number 12. The original Death. He had the best walk-up song I've ever seen. The Oh Death, I don't want to sing right now. I shouldn't. Him just walking in Chicago and a guy brushes up on him, like walks into him and he just falls dead. That was so cool. It was one of the best character introductions I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's crazy if you look at it, because I was looking on IMDb. He only showed up in like 6 episodes or something. But he was so important. He was so good. It was so like when he said he'll have to reap God someday, stuff like that's amazing. I don't know, something about Death, he felt so overpowered in a pretty much unkillable way. If they didn't do what they did to him, I don't know what they could have possibly done to get him. I don't know, I really like their character. I was really surprised when they killed him off, but just his introduction alone gets him into A tier for sure. And at number 11, I have Donna. I thought Donna was such a fun member to this show. When they found her in her, I don't know, probably Wisconsin or Minnesota town where she was just a police officer, I was so excited on the rewatch seeing her show up for the first time. Like, finally. I really like her foil to Jody, who we'll talk about later, obviously. But I thought Donna was such a fun and positive and just really great character. Sometimes you just need an optimistic, just kind character. And this was her. She was tough as nails, super nice, super sweet. I think Donna was one of the best characters in the show for sure. I don't know. I wish she had been there longer, because I don't know when she got there, but maybe in season 10 or so. Wish she was there a little longer, but Donna was such a fun part. I always enjoyed every single episode with her and Jody together. Always great. I thought Donna was fantastic. Starting the top 10, I have Rowena. Rowena was such a fun character. I really like how much I hated her when we first met her. She was just this evil witch and doing all these evil witch things, and they don't know how to stop her. And then we find out, oh, she's Crowley's mom. She's doing these sketchy things just to stay in power, which sucked. But then she got so cool. Then she got so likable and fun, and her and Gabriel hooked up, which is so funny to me. I always forget about that. That was so funny. But she became so useful, so helpful in pretty much the entire last part of the show. Like the last 6 seasons, she was fantastic in this. She really stepped up to the plate and carried a lot of the time. I thought she was so good and so, I don't know, powerful and helpful, and her actress did such a good job. I really like her dynamic with Crowley and how she did actually care about him and all this other stuff. But Rowena's great and deserves to be on the top 10. At number 9, I have Lucifer, or the devil, or whatever you want to call him. He was great. I thought he was acted so well. The guy who plays him was the perfect choice for Lucifer. And I mean that as a compliment, sir. If somehow you ever see this, I mean that as a compliment, because you were fantastic. He also played a similar-ish character in Lost, but I feel like he did it so much better in Supernatural. I feel like Supernatural just really let him be chaotic, because that's what he was. He was so chaotic, and then later on we see in the show that he just wanted his dad's attention, which is really funny, because it just comes down to they're not human, but like interactions, very human interactions of you just want your parents' attention. But he was so good. He was so intimidating. I can't remember if I put him as my favorite villain, but if I didn't, he might need to be. He was just so dang good and so intimidating and so fun, and just really stood out to me as a character in the show. And number 8, I have Garth. I thought Garth was maybe the funniest character on the entire show. Garth was so great. Every time he showed up, he was like the fill-in guy and all this other stuff. Then he like raised a werewolf family and all this just silly things. Garth was always such a good addition to an episode. I think his name is DJ Qualms maybe, but that actor is just so funny. And I love that, like, a lot of the humor is he's just a tiny little guy, and he's so funny. He's so good in the show. He's so just magnetic. Like, whenever he's on screen, I'm paying attention to what he's doing 99% of the time. To Sam Dean, sorry, because if Garth's around, he's doing something funny or something just wild, like him hugging Dean. I always thought was so funny because Dean hates it. Garth's the goat. He's the wolf, but he's also the goat. I thought he always brought so much to the show. Then at the top of A tier, at number 7, I have Gabriel, or the Trickster, or Loki, whatever you want to call him. He wasn't actually Loki. That was a weird episode. But he had some of the best episodes in the show. I think of like Mystery Spot or Changing Channels. He's just always causing mischief. Loki. And it makes the episode so good. Mystery Spot is genuinely one of my favorite episodes ever, and it's because of him. He was doing all the stuff. I thought he was so fun when we got to see him talk to like the other gods who thought he was Loki, all this other stuff. He was just great. He was always a fun character. He was kind of a coward, but he'd be helpful. He just genuinely became an important part of the show, and I remember different episodes just because of him. I remember things he did in these episodes. He's very memorable to me. He absolutely deserves to be an A tier. And starting off S tier, I have Jody Mills. Jody was the mom that Sam and Dean actually deserved, because Mary was definitely not. Jody was so great. She started off kind of antagonistically as the cop in Bobby's town, and she thought Bobby was trouble because he's always got all these things happening around him. But then she eventually found out that the stuff's real. Werewolves are real. Ghosts are real. All this other stuff. Even taking her kid. Well, bring her back her kid and then taking it. I thought Jody was really good and really gave the closest that Sam and Dean had to like someone else to help carry the show. Well, we had episodes around Jody Mills, and Jody did a great job. I really like that in the show at one point, Dean says something about the sweet life of Zach and Cass, which is really funny because Jody Mills is played by the mom in Zach and Cody. So I thought that was really good. But no, she was absolutely the mom figure in the show. She eventually adopted a bunch. She had her own little girl gang, which is cool. And Donna would hang out sometimes. But no, Jody was so great. And she was absolutely the mother that Sam and Dean always wanted. At number 5, I have Crowley. I said earlier Lucifer is the highest villain and all that, but that's because I don't really consider Crowley a villain for 95% of the show. I really, really like what they did with Crowley, and I thought the actor did such a good job, but like he was a businessman. At the end of the day, being friends with the Winchesters and getting help from the Winchesters and doing all this other stuff was good for business. he didn't seem evil. He was evil, obviously. He did a lot of torture, just evil things, killing, all that stuff. But he was more of just a fun character and really funny. And it was funny watching him just lose power every other episode. Someone else takes over hell, and then he has to fight to get it back and all this stuff. But he ends up being the guy. It was funny because he just never seemed as powerful as the other people that led hell. Like Lilith, like... who else? Well, Lucifer, obviously. Azazel. He just seemed like a good businessman. Yikes. And I don't know. I always really liked when Crowley was around. I always liked his episodes. I liked all the stuff with his son. I liked his stuff with Rowena. Crowley was just a great addition to the show. At number 4, I have a really late addition to the show, but I have Jack. I thought Jack was really great. I really liked that Sam and Dean got to be kind of parents to Jack and teach Jack right and wrong and do all these other things, because Jack was essentially a baby. Like, he didn't know anything. He was Satan's son, which is crazy, but he had such like a sweetness to him, like when a kid doesn't know something and he's just very earnest. That was him. I thought Jack was the most earnest, and that show needed it. With Sam and Dean and like Cass, we needed a little earnestness, and that's what we got with him. And I thought that was great. I thought Jack was just really good to have around, especially in the late show. He ends up saving the day, which is super rad. He's so powerful. But I really liked having Jack around, and I'm so glad that he ended up coming into the show later on. At number 3, I have Charlie. I thought Charlie was so great. I really enjoyed every time Charlie was around, other than when the Otherworld Charlie came over. It just wasn't the same. I thought Charlie was such a fun character. I love how she would randomly show up like, oh, she was the one who could help take out the Leviathan, but she also ended up being just the princess at this Renaissance fair. I thought that was so fun. Or queen, I don't remember what she was. I just thought she was such a fun and unique character and really brightened the energy of the show a lot of the time. I thought she just, I don't know, it was nice having a female character around that, like, since she didn't like men, Sam and Dean just like, oh cool, we're friends. And I like that. Not everyone needs to be in a relationship. Not everyone needs to have this romantic chemistry. They were just friends, and I loved that. I thought that was really, really good. And Charlie absolutely deserves to be in the top 3. At number 2, I have Bobby. We talked about how Jody Mills was the mom that Sam and Dean always wanted. Bobby was their dad. And I don't even know if it's that crazy to say, not even the one they wanted. Bobby was the dad they had. We saw flashbacks of John dropping off Dean to like go fight something else. And instead of going to shooting practice like John wanted him to, Bobby would take him out back and they'd play catch with a baseball, because he knew that John was a bum father and he knew he could do better. He knew he could help them. They needed somewhat of a normal life. Bobby was he was always there. He was always such a good dude. I don't know. He was such a good, I love that he was like, I'm not like a hillbilly guy, but he was also their brains a lot of the time. He was the one who had so much information. I love the like, don't judge a book by its cover stuff. I thought that was great. I think Bobby just genuinely makes the show better. Every single episode he's in, I think Bobby is just, he's just great. I even like Ghost Bobby for a little bit that we had Ghost Bobby. Bobby's great, and he deserves to be in the top 2. Last, and definitely not least, at number 1, I have Castiel. When Cass showed up, season 6 maybe, he was great. He was just, I really like his arc. He went from like the jerk angel who would follow every order to just slowly becoming more and more human. He and Dean got very close. I'm not really sure how that ended with him and Dean, because there's some things they were hinting at, but Cass was just such a great character. He was such a good addition to this team. Like, when I think of Supernatural, I think of 4 characters usually. Sam Dean, obviously, but I also think of Bobby and Cass. Cass before Bobby, though. Cass is so good, and he's so pure and so powerful and so helpful and just so funny a lot of the time. His humor's so dry, and the voice he uses is just like, Dean, we have to go. It's just so silly. I thought Misha Collins did such a great job playing him and really just made the show better. I think bringing Cass on made the show go for longer, for sure, because it just opened up the whole world of Supernatural. But yeah, Cass is my number 1 for sure. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry I've been gone a little bit. I've been sick and just dealing with that. But I appreciate you watching this. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like it if you did. Comment below who some of your favorite characters in Supernatural are, because I'd love to read that. I read every comment. Shout out to my subscribers, or, well, you know what, those two. Shout out to my subscribers. What I meant to say was members. Subscribe if you like this video, because I do a lot of stuff like this. And I don't know. I will see you next week. Bye.